Well, it has been a very busy time indeed in the world of Alphatheta or Pioneer DJ with the recent announcement of yet another controller. I am of course talking about the all-new budget Flex 2 or FLX2, and in this video I'm going to give you all of my thoughts and opinions on this brand new entry level device. Let's get started. So at the time of filming this video, the Flex 2 was announced within the last week and is ultimately the replacement for the Pioneer DJ DDJ-200, the cheapest controller in the whole lineup of all Alphatheta and Pioneer DJ controllers. And that is still the case. This is still the cheapest controller you can get your hands on with this brand. It does not replace the Flex 4, which I am quite glad about because I recently made a video saying about how this is still a good purchase in 2024. I don't have to delete that video and people aren't going to hate me for saying that. And a week later, the Flex 2 gets announced. So that video still stands. If you haven't watched that video, do go and check it out. And just like my video that I made on the Groove 6 and the XDJ-AZ, the two other controllers that have recently been announced, as I mentioned in that video, I am not a big enough YouTube channel to get sent these devices by Alphatheta or Pioneer, so I can't get hands-on with these devices. However, I can give you my thoughts and opinions based on the extensive reading I've done. I've done lots of viewing of reviews and things, and I can give you my thoughts as a working DJ, just basically sharing my knowledge with you guys. So to kick things off then, let's talk about price. And this is the cheapest controller on the whole Alphatheta or Pioneer DJ lineup. Here in the UK, it's going to be retailing for £159, and in the US, it's going to be retailing for $179. With pricing out the way then, who is this controller designed for? Well, Christmas is just around the corner at the time of filming this video, and so if a parent has a son or a daughter that has expressed an interest in DJing, it could be a brilliant option for them, especially if they're not sure if that person that they're buying the gift for is not serious about DJing. It doesn't break the bank in comparison to other DJing equipment. Now, yes, there are other manufacturers out there that have budget equipment, but I do think it is brilliant that Alphatheta or Pioneer are bringing out a budget option just to really make DJing as accessible to as many people. I think this also could be suitable for those people that are budget conscious. Perhaps you want to start DJing, but you really don't have a big budget to blow first and foremost. So this could enable you to start DJing and really get to grips with some of the fundamental skills of DJing without breaking the bank. I also think, and this is a bit of a wild card, this could be a good controller for touring artists. Now, hear me out on this one, right? I'm not saying that you would turn up with a Flex 2 to a nightclub to perform at, but if you're a touring artist and you're getting on and off flights with hand luggage, you could literally, because of the size of this thing, right, you could literally throw this into your luggage and test out different tunes, different transitions, using a controller whilst you are on the road, like in your hotel room, before a gig, that kind of scenario. Moving on to the controller itself then, and the Flex 2 actually fixes, in my opinion, what was the DDJ-200's biggest weakness, and that is the ability to connect headphones and speakers directly to the device. On the DDJ-200, you couldn't do this. It literally relied on Bluetooth capability, so you had to connect it to your phone or your laptop, which was ridiculous in my personal opinion. The fact that you can now connect headphones and speakers just means that you can actually DJ properly on this device, and it's actually something that you can take seriously. Yes, both connections are using one of these, which is an 1/8 inch jack. It's a very small jack lead, but a connection is a connection nonetheless, which just opens up a lot more possibilities. Say, for example, you are somebody that wants to play a few tunes at a house party, have a few friends round on a Saturday night, but you've got no intention of playing a DJ gig in your life. This could be a good controller for you. There's another user for this controller. So I think it's absolutely brilliant for that purpose. The other thing that this controller is brilliant at is flexibility in terms of software. I actually think it's a really good value proposition for this reason. What I'm talking about is if you plug this into your laptop, you are going to get Rekordbox connectivity. It's a hardware unlocked device, which is massive. Like for under £200 to get a controller and a piece of software, I think is very, very good value. You can also use Serato DJ Lite with this controller and also Algorithm DJ Pro. So it's actually very, very flexible. I'm pretty sure as well Virtual DJ won't be too far behind with mapping it to their software as well, because it pretty much maps with absolutely everything. So in terms of flexibility and in terms of connectivity, I think it's brilliant in terms of that from a value perspective. On the Flex 2, you also get 8 performance pads and 4 performance pad modes. Now, it is worth noting that unlike the Flex 4, this is the Flex 4, you won't get individual sort of pad mode select buttons. It is incorporated into the top row of performance pads, and you have to use the shift button in order to access the different modes, but it is good to see that you have got different pad modes. It also inherits the smart fader and also as well the smart color effects, has a 3-band EQ and also as well the filter built in. In terms of some of the key things that I think are important that are missing from the Flex 2, in comparison to the Flex 4 and above, this is the Flex 4. First up, you don't get any level metering on the Flex 2. So these are the little lights that show you how loud your track is. There's none of that on the Flex 2. You also don't get any trim controls. Now, trim is very, very useful for if you've got tracks recorded at different volumes, then it just helps to balance out the overall volume of the mix. So you don't get that. So it's going to be a little bit more complicated in terms of getting a nice mix which has the same volume overall. The volumes will be a little bit up and down. You're going to have to control that using your faders. In addition to that, you don't get a master level output on the mixer interface. There is a small attenuation dial on the Flex 2 next to where you connect your speakers, but it is going to be a little bit more fiddly in terms of controlling the master volume. Also, you don't get any microphone connectivity on the Flex 2. So if you want to add a mic, maybe you're at a house party and you want to do a birthday announcement or something like that, you can't do any of that on the Flex 2. You will need the Flex 4 and better in order to add a microphone. And then lastly, as well, in terms of key stuff that you don't get, of course, we've mentioned about you don't get RCA outputs, you can't connect to booth or anything like that. And also you don't get the separate looping buttons and controls either. So just a few things to bear in mind. The only other thing as well, on the mixer, it's a little bit more simplistic, so you don't get any of the beat effects. The beat effects are incorporated into the pad effects. They have a pad effects mode on that, so the closest you're going to get to the mixer beat effects will be via the performance pads. But for this price point, you are going to have to expect some things that are going to be left off. So in terms of my overall thoughts and opinions on this announcement of this controller, I actually think it is a very good value proposition. I think you get quite a lot there for your money, considering it also unlocks those different softwares that I have mentioned. If you're on a very, very tight budget, this could also be an option for you. However, in most use cases, I would still recommend trying to splash out a little bit more and going with the Flex 4. This is going to last you a lot longer in terms of not so much build quality, but in terms of the features. Just things like it has the master volume control, you can add a microphone, the level metering, etc. I do think that if you are serious about DJing and you go with the Flex 2, you're probably going to outgrow it a lot quicker than what you would with a Flex 4. So I think in most use cases, this is still the best entry level controller. But if you are very, very budget conscious, then the Flex 2 is a good kind of alternative for you. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Very quick overview based on what I've seen. Do give this video a thumbs up if you have found it useful. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you next time.